Hola, hola, ¿qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están? Buenos días a todos. Welcome once again to Peru, to Lima, and also to this series dedicated to unveiling, discovering together the most fascinating destinations in Peru. Well, today we continue with Puno. This has been a quite long series dedicated to different destinations in Peru. We covered together Cusco, Lima, Ica, Arequipa, the north coast of Peru. Now we are with the last part of Puno, and tomorrow we start with another chapter dedicated to Iquitos and the rainforest of Peru. So, if you've been with me along the way, you've discovered different destinations, some of them already quite famous internationally, some of them completely unknown by the general public outside Peru. And Puno, I think, don't need really further introduction. Puno is already a famous destination thanks to Titicaca Lake and also thanks to its connection or closeness to Bolivia as a, let's say, the gateway into Bolivia from Peru. So, but the history of Puno is also fascinating. In the first, second, and third part of this series, we talk about the geography, the pre-Hispanic societies, the Spanish foundation of Puno. And now I would like to take you to discover with me some important communities that live close to 4,000 meters above sea level, and also a famous celebration festival that happens also every February in Puno. So, well, we will start now. And also, thanks to my friends who are watching the replays also, well, after we finish the live. And I understand the time might not be the best for everybody, but your interest in well learning about Peru's history, and even after we finish the lives, really touches me deeply. And I hope that we continue also discovering different places and also traditions, festivities, well, after this series. Also, a couple of things very important. I always say this in the beginning: you should be able to see images all the way until the end of this presentation. Sometimes YouTube disconnects the images without advice. So you have here a chat active that I can see all the way until the end of the event. So any commentaries or any, let's say, suggestions, or if you're having any issues with the internet, with my presentation, with my voice, video buffering, please let me know. But before that, try to refresh your screen if possible. See? So, well, now we continue with Puno, and well, this time we will travel to the beautiful Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, and we will also, well, somehow travel back in time to the pre-Hispanic eras, because there are some communities that live nowadays in this location that have uh, preserve their traditions, their culture, their language, almost intact, for hundreds of years after even the arrival of the conquistadors. And well, one of those societies is the Uro people. There are some fascinating things about the Uros, but some generalities. I think first is important to mention that Uros identify as Aymara people, no? And Aymara is, first of all, is a language that a big part of the territory of Peru, in the south in particular, and also Bolivia and north of Chile. So there are some territories between these three nations that have Aymaras or descendants of these pre-Hispanic societies. And these people continue speaking their languages, besides also religious practices, and more. So they identify the Uros people as Aymara. They speak that language physically as well. They are descendants, direct descendants of this indigenous group. With very, very little mestizaje or mixing with other racial groups. So the Aymara people, which nowadays in Peru we have about 500,000 Peruvians speaking this language, as well as Spanish, of course, because Spanish is the frank language for all of us. So Aymaras basically live in the high plateau. This section, by the way, is part of the high plateau. So how they got into the lake, that's another interesting thing, because you can see in this picture, well, a little community that if you look in detail, so this is not in mainland, this is in the lake. So there is a little like platform where you see houses on top. There's a in construction, there's a boat over there. And if you see, like on the other side of this platform, there's more water. And there are also reeds growing behind. So this little platform, which is an island, is floating, by the way, is all surrounded by water, and under it also has more water. So the story of how the Uros got into the lake is still, of course, in debate. There are investigations also still going on. But I remember hearing one interesting theory about this, let's say, a group, this indigenous group who lived originally in mainland, no? In the coast, escaping from an invasion, some type of invasion that happened. Some specialists point out to the Incas also. The Incas coming into this territory. The Incas belong to a different ethnic group and also, let's say, language tradition. So, well, they came into this location, presumably in the let's say 14th century or maybe early 15th century. And because these Uros were not willing to accept the conquest of the Incas, they escaped from them. And these people already used boats of reed, because reed, which is what you see in the back part of the image, this reed is used and is consumed as well by this community since ancient times. So they had boats made from reed, and in their wish to escape from the oppressors, they got into the lake with their boats. They live in the boats also, and later on they probably started to connect the boats, creating the first islands, and that's how finally they adapted to live like this. So in their search for independence, they created a different lifestyle. So, well, you can see that everything happens for them in the lake, in these islands. And I have also another picture about, well, how the islands look, and a little bit of what you can do in the island too, because these islands are more or less, I would say, 30 kilometers away, a little bit less from the shores of Titicaca Lake. They are not in open lake. They are still close to the shore, because if they were in open lake, first of all, the dip of this lake tends to be like very, very deep, more like in the center. So the idea is that the islands will be sort of like hooked to the ground. Also, in that way, they will not be just moving away like a boat without direction. So they are always hooked to one side, to one location. And well, also in this way, the people of Uros can go to the city anytime they need, and they can also benefit from the fauna and also flora that is in the shores, that exist in the shores. So they don't want to go too far away from the shores of the Titicaca Lake. And well, another thing interesting is that we are talking about several, over 100 islands that in this moment exist, and each island belongs to one family group or could be two family groups. The islands are big enough to home several people. Sometimes up to 20 people can live in one big island. But eventually, with the passing of the time and also the families growing, families want their space, their separation. I've heard in some occasions people living in the islands telling me stories like, for example, there were two sisters living in the island, and well, they started to have some conflicts, or they needed their space, and they decided to just cut the island in two. So in that way, like everybody will be happy, no? So you go your way, I go my way, and well, problem solved. Mhm. So inside the islands also they are, you can notice, for example, for in the small picture, this little like holes, water holes, used for fishing. Also, they have if, let's say a pool in their backyard, and they can access to the fishes from the lake, which are several kinds. Later, I'll tell you a bit more about some of them. So, well, this is basically the lifestyle of the Uros, in an ancestral form of lifestyle, and everything happens in the islands. So, let's understand first how the islands are built or are let's say, kept also in good conditions, because these islands are made 100% from organic material. There's nothing of, like, let's say, floating elements made from plastic or something like that. No, no, everything is 100% organic. The only things that are not anymore organic, and this has been changed recently in the last decades, are the cords that hold the island in one place, because originally those cords were made of totora, or the reed of the shores of Titicaca. But of course, like, you have to be replacing these cords constantly, especially if they are made from totora. So they found out that there was a good alternative to that, and that was, well, these cores that are more like made from synthetic materials, plastics, which are more resistant. And that can also last for years, even up to decades in some cases. So, well, that have made their life a little bit easier. So, well, the creation, the building up of a floating island, first of all, requires a material that it comes from the shore, from lower lands, but still inside the water. This is sort of like the roots. It's a combination of the roots of the totora and also the sediment of the bottom of the lake, which once cut floats like cork. Mm. So this material, of course, sometimes you can take very big blocks, but they can be quite heavy. Especially to pull if you use the traditional boats. So they chop in square pieces of, let's say, more or less 1 meter each, and they pull them into the zone where they want to build the island. So usually close to the other islands. So they are like these big blocks, and they are all connected with the cords also. So as you can see in the first image on top. Um, Remember that the idea is to keep the island always in the same place. If you don't tie the island to the bottom, well, maybe tomorrow you wake up in Bolivia. So that's not the idea. Um, well, they use these plastic cords that are stronger to tie them to the bottom. And well, now you need the reed to cover the top of this sort of like cork-like element floating. So the way how they position this reed is not in the same direction. So you put one layer of the reeds in all in the same direction, and then the second layer, the reeds in the other direction, and you keep adding. Initially, you add several layers, and then well, you leave it for a time. Then after 1 week, you add another layer until they find out that the island is stable enough, floats, and is stable enough to live on top. Okay? So, and little by little, well, you keep adding more layers. So, what keeps also the islands floating is the very material rotting underground, because it produces some sorry, don't know how to say it in English, but these chemicals that are being released from the rotting material that keep the island floating. So that's why, well, these islands can resist for years. Some islands can exist for 20 years, but eventually they need to be replaced. And well, that's the time when another island will be built. And so, but every week they have to add a new layer of island. So that's why the islands keep like growing down, because naturally this material eventually like sort of like goes down. So that's why they add more on top and little by little. So this is how finally the island progress. So, and well, in the islands, uh, there are some interesting things the communities continue doing. Of course, that one of them is linked to tourism. Tourism is a very important activity. They receive visitors every year, showing them their lifestyle, also teaching them, for example, how to do their beautiful embroidery, which is one of the activities you can do in the island. In the island, you cannot do really much. Like in mainland. So embroidery is the thing. And also women of the community are the ones in charge of embroider, and they sell also the products. They sell these souvenirs also to the tourists. So that is the job of women. Men usually don't stay in the islands. They go all day long either to fish, either to work in the city. So they are usually according to well the way how the society of the Aymaras they see the role of men, they usually are out of the house. Women are the one who stay, with the exception of some authorities, male authorities who are always in certain locations. Um, Also, well, tourism is important, so men is the one in charge of the boat rights in the islands. So their gender roles are very, very clear in these communities. So, and here we have another one, well, of the boats. Some of these boats are like so beautiful and so big. They can accommodate several people, 15 people in some cases. I've been able to also jump on one of those beautiful boats with a group of, I remember we were more than 16 in total. And well, they have this decoration. They put these decorations on their boats. Some of them looks like pumas or snakes. So they are very creative. And initially, well, those boats were the ones that originated the exodus from the mainland into the lake. And well, you can see over there the one of the fishes that are heavily consumed also in Titicaca Lake, in this case by the Uros people. This is the karachi, and karachi is a fish that, as you can see, is quite small. It's very tasty. So far I remember, it's also bony. It is fully adapted to the extreme cold conditions of the lake. And there's a problem with this fish, and the problem is that sadly, well, in the early 20th century, it was introduced into the Titicaca Lake a new species of fish that was voracious, the trout, trucha. Trouts from North America were introduced, and sadly, they have destroyed the balance, the natural, like the ecosystem of Titicaca Lake, because they are really voracious. They eat the carachis. So, well, there are issues now with trying to control the numbers of trout. Trout is usually like cultivated there as in the system of pisciculture. Pisciculture. So the trout is grown in nets in the lake, and that's also a fish that is consumed heavily by the people either of the city of Puno and the islands, floating, and also other islands we have in this location. Mm. So, well, now you have an idea about how it's life in the Uros Islands, these floating islands, hardworking people from the or identify as Aymara, and now we'll talk about another interesting community society that exists in the lake. There are, by the way, several groups living in the around the lake or inside the lake in Titicaca, and not just on the Peruvian side, also on the Bolivian side. So if you are interested in this type of like, let's say, like a lifestyle, uh, you have to hurry up and come to Peru or to Bolivia. Maybe both if you wish, because it's really like you can see sort of like time frozen in those locations. Well, the next society, the next community I want to talk about today is the Taquile community, located in the island of the same name, Taquile. And well, this is one of the views from the island. So we continue over 3,800 meters above sea level. The island is very slopey, uh, very steep, and well, they have sort of like tame this the nature of this location wonderfully, creating terraces everywhere. Everywhere you go, there are terraces. The temperature in the island is also much more warmer than in the city of Puno, or of course in the floating islands of the Uros. And that's because, well, a combination of things: the high radiation, the water also around the island, keeping the heat, releasing it at nighttime. Well, also the terraces, the amount of soil that is exposed to the radiation. So all of these elements combined create a microclimate in the island of Taquile that allows them to grow multiple kinds of products that naturally don't grow in this elevation. It is really fascinating. And also, it's fascinating how humans can control climates in this way, in the benefit, and also how crops, some different types of plants, can adapt to these conditions. The adaptability here is fascinating. For example, in this elevation, close to 4,000 meters above sea level, these people grow corn, and corn is not from these high elevations. Like the perfect elevation for corn is like 2,500 meters above sea level until 3,000 meters above sea level. That's why the Sacred Valley of the Incas is the perfect place for corn, because it varies in these elevations. But here, no, like it's way higher, no? So, well, they have corn here. They also grow potatoes, different kinds of potatoes, fully adapted to this location. Keep in mind that potato also, the domestication of this product started in Titicaca Lake. So this is the home of the potato. Legumes also like tarwi grown here. So they have lots of different products. Their diet is very, very good. And that probably is the reason why they are longeve. They live for so many years. Going to the to the island, it really demands a lot of energy, and I remember that also. Every time I remember of my trips to Puno, I remember the day of Uros Taquile, which usually that combination was done with the tourists. In the morning, we went to the island of Uros. We spent a beautiful morning there, and then after we took another boat and we went to Taquile. And in Taquile, we had to go upwards and several stairs and also ramps, and it was really beautiful, the scenario. But every two steps, you were like trying to catch your breath. So but it totally worth it, and it worth it to see this wonderful man, like all the way wherever you went. You were like walking the ramps, or this walking up the stairs, and you have a lot of beautiful arches. Every certain amount of steps, there's a beautiful arch of stone, and you saw them like seated and weaving. And the first time I saw them, well, it was like, I mean, something was off, because in my mind, like weaving, it was something done by, well, women, because my granny used to do that, and it was something like generational. My granny taught my mom, and my mom talked to me, and every time my brother tried to learn, my grandma, she was very traditional. No, 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 that's a thing of women. No, no, not for men. And then you see the tequila men, and the tequila men are actually preparing for life when they are weaving. So, well, knitting, I think you call it, right? It's knitting. So knitting is a thing like very much of men in Tequila. If you want to get married, you have to know how to do knitting. Mm. And also, most of the things they dress are made by themselves. The chullos, or the hats that you see they're using, very colorful. I'll tell you a bit more about them later. Also, their these sort of like belts that they have, they are also made by them. They are experts. And for example, one of the tests they pass, their knitting pass, is to know if they are ready to get married and to form families, is that, well, they use their hat, and they pour water in it. And if water is coming out, uh, means that, well, it's not tight enough, the knitting, so they have to make it again. So, well, it's the tradition. And their knitting, the weaving is so beautiful that UNESCO also protected it in the year 2005 as a heritage of the world. The Taquile people are also known as one of the happiest people in the world, happiest communities in the world. They are longeve, and they're also very, very happy. And why? Well, the level of stress in that location is minimal, pretty much down to zero. Everybody knows each other's. Everybody also takes care of each other's. They take care of their elderly as a big community. Mm. And well, everybody speak their love language. Well, beloved language is Quechua. These people are Quechua speakers. So that's also another element of differentiation between the Uros and the Taquile people. Languages that are very different and origins that are different. Being them Quechua, also that connects them to, well, a community that came to the Lake Titicaca, or to the, let's say, the area around the lake, um, let's say around the 13th, 14th, 15th century. So since then they move into the island, and they stay there. Okay. So, and let's see a bit of their hats. So uh, you can see that their hats, they have different designs, and this is not just like the fashion of the year or something related with like personal taste. The hats of men also denote the status of the person, marital status, if they are married or if they are single. Mm. For example, the first one on the left, well, shows is a hat that has half of it decorated with these beautiful red stripes with symbols and designs, and the rest is white. So why is that? I was explained by men in Taquile Island that, well, this is the hat for single men, and this symbolizes that, well, the man is not complete, no? Is waiting for his better half to come. So that's why the hat is just halfway, the vibrant red color and designs. The red is just white. So evidently, when a man gets married, changes his hat into the one of the other extreme, the one on the right, which is all covered in the stripes and the color. This is a happy man. He has found the love of his life that is going to be with him forever. Mm. Also, another thing interesting is that the men in authority positions, like the mayor, let's say, of the community, the main authority, uses a different hat. Mm. And by the way, this is a position given always to married men, not single men. Mhm. So by default, all the authorities are married. And well, you see there this smaller hat that is more like popular around the world. If you go to Peru, take a hat with you back home, you will probably be using something more like that, right? The one in the center. And additional to that, chuyo, the beanie, I think you call it in English, there is a regular hat also, black color, that is put on top. So that denotes authority. And these men also wear a chuspa or a bag, very colorful, where they carry their coca leaf, for example, or other products that they carry for the day. And well, other element that is very important in the, like the clothes, the traditional clothes of men, will be this sort of like belt that is decorated with different symbols, related also like pictures, like family pictures, or like the house of the family, or sometimes they are the members of the family, flowers, fishes, the birds. So symbols that are important and meaningful for the person that carries the belt. They are completely personalized. And I remember also in one occasion, being in one of these homes of the members of this community, um, asking about, well, the bells, no, and how they were made, no. And one of these men, married men also, he took it off and he showed it. It was very, very beautiful, but in the edges of this, let's say, big long fabric piece, there was also another part woven that was not of a material that I've ever seen before. It was not alpaca, it was not cotton. Also, I asked, like, what is this part with this section? And the person said, well, this is the hair of my wife. And I was like, what? And well, the tradition is that when a woman picks the man she wants to marry, vice versa, of course, they are both happy, no, and they wish to marry. The tradition is that women who traditionally have beautiful, long, long, long hair, this is their asset for their beauty, no? So they, as a special present to their husband, they cut the hair, like this high, more or less. They cut the hair and they give it to the husband to become part of the belt. Mhm. So, and in that way, the husband will carry a little piece of her wife always, always for the rest of his life, because this is the belt that he will be using, like permanently. So it is, to me, is so romantic.
is much more romantic than a I don't know, a diamond, because it's a little piece of the one you love with you always. Aren't they romantic people? So, well, Uros are indeed like a community, as I said before, sort of like frozen in time. Women as well, also, and before I forget to mention, they also dress in beautiful colors. But one of the biggest differences between, for example, these Quechua women and the Aymara women of the Uros Island is that women here, they cover their hair with a veil, beautiful black veil, which functions like in multiple ways. Like if you pull it a little bit like to the front, it's like a little like hat, so they don't have the sun directly to their eyes. It covers and keeps their hair like a clean. And when it's cold, they use it also like a like a covering, like let's say coat. So it's a multi-use, multi-purpose element. And also their clothes are generally very, very colorful. In comparison to women of Uros, which let's go just a little bit back. So women of Uros use hats, quite small, as you can see. That is the traditional fashion. Oh, sorry, of the Aymara women in even on the Bolivian side, and braids. They have long, beautiful braids with pompons on the bottom. The bigger the pompon, the single the woman. So if they are single, their pompons will be very big, like showing what they have. And if they are married, the pompons reduce. They are no longer that big, that visible. So, well, different, completely different traditions, and also very beautiful. So, well, element, traditional element associated with Puno. I'm just traveling a little bit away from, well, let's say from this location. Actually, not a little bit. I'm traveling a big, big distance because at the entrance between Cusco and Puno, when you are entering from Cusco into the department of Puno, there is a town named Pucará, where you can get those famous bulls, the Toritos de Pucará, which originated also as a form of, let's say, a response from the indigenous to the evangelization of the Spaniards, but the need of holding on their tradition of representing animals or gods in the shape of animals to protect their homes. And it's believed that in the pre-Hispanic times, communities like, for example, the Pucará people, they use symbols like snakes, for example, or condors or pumas as decoration for protection of their homes. When the evangelizers came, the priests came, the religious orders came, they forbade of that type of behavior, that type of action, that type of amulet. No? So instead, well, the indigenous started to acquire elements that were more accepted by the Spaniards. So, okay, if the pumas are forbidden, if the snakes are forbidden, if the condors are forbidden, which animals are not forbidden? And well, the bulls became a very important symbol, a symbol that was understood not just by the or understand that not just by the Spaniards as a symbol of strength or and work, or because they brought the bulls from Europe. No? They were the ones who introduced them for plugging the land. No? And the indigenous also understood this symbol of bull equivalent to strength, to perseverance, to hard work, and they transformed that symbol into something magical again, because that's really the way we are. Everything becomes magical in our hands. So, well, here you can see the bulls of Pucará, which are normally on the rooftop of houses. No, that's in this region, and later on spread over to other zones in the South Andes. So the bulls of Pucará are always put on top of the houses, on the rooftop, and they always are in twos, never one alone. And that is because they represent the concept of duality. And duality, union, what's male and female, and together they create not just balance, cosmic balance, also fertility. Because we are talking about mainly agricultural societies, farming societies that depend on the reproduction uh, for subsistence. So, well, there you have the bulls of Pucará. And also, I love this picture on the right hand side that shows that we are not just seeing something that can be labeled as pagan. Also, there is a cross on top, just in case. If you're doubting that they are Catholic, no, no, they are Catholic. They're putting the cross on top, in between the bulls, sort of like making this symbol not anti Christian, Christian in a way, Christianizing this tradition. And also, well, in Puno, the festivals are beautiful, long, and religious also. Puno can be one of the most Catholic departments of the country. I would like, for example, rate the most Catholic departments. Probably number one will be Arequipa, no? And then below, I'm sure Puno would be another one. So Puno is a place, a zone of festivals. People love to dance in Puno. That's why it's the folklore capital of Peru. Oh, the folkloric capital of Peru. There are hundreds of dances also original from this location, from the high plateau. And well, the answer of this, why people of Puno love to dance so much, I think that we're after staying for some time in Puno in the high plateau as a trip leader. I think it's because in part of the climate, like it's so cold there sometimes. Oh, it's so cold, so high. No, so dancing like keeps you alive. No, like it gives you energy, helps you to socialize. Oh, so you create nexus connections with people while you're dancing, and naturally, well, those harsh climate tends to make people introverts. Tends to make people like a little bit detached from the others because you're trying to survive. It's way too cold. But our nature of people who love to socialize, of people who love to be connected with others, makes us create forms to do these connections. And one of those forms is by dancing. And you don't dance alone, you dance with others. So that's why the people of the Andes also, and especially these extreme high locations, love dancing, and use sophisticated folkloric, like let's say, clothes and costumes, which we will see in a moment. So well, but this is just my analysis and my point of view. There might be experts that have different opinions. So this is what I felt when I went to Puno, and I witnessed also celebrations also there. And one of the most important celebrations that, if you want to see like one, the best one of the country of Peru, I would recommend you to go to Virgen de Candelaria Festival, which happens in February. And UNESCO protected the festival of Virgen de la Candelaria in the year 2014. So it's officially a heritage of humanity, this festival that lasts for weeks. But the central days, so far I remember, are the beginning of February. The 2nd of February is when the Virgin is taken out of her church, located in the city center of Puno, where she rests for the rest of the year. And then, when the celebration starts, Oh my God, is all Puno is a party. And when the party finish, let's start with the when the party, the celebration finishes, because that's the moment. Also, the year before, that's the moment when there is a group selected to host the celebration of next year, which is a big honor. It's a huge honor. Like people queue really, to be the hosts, and they spend a fortune, a little fortune, in organizing all of this. But they do it with big faith, because they do it in honor of Virgin Mary, of Virgin of Candelaria, which is the Virgin Mary with the candle and baby Jesus. This is a very old representation of Virgin Mary that came to Peru in the early colonial days, the Candelaria. And well, the Virgin also is considered to be protector of Puno since ancient times. I think it was the 18th century, or 17, it was 1781 when the Virgin protected, according to a tradition, protected the city of Puno from a group of invaders, oh, from a revolutionary group that we had in that time that was fighting against the crown. And Puno people were very much into royalists, very much into embracing the protection of the king, being loyal to the king. So when they were about to be taken by this very big group of rebels, they pray to the Virgin for the protection of the city by Virgin of Candelaria. And as usual, when you ask a special favor to a saint, you take it in procession outside the city. And the story says that, well, this procession occurred at nighttime. So there were some torches, and the Virgin taken out in the streets of the quiet Puno, while in that moment, in the distance, this group of rebels were awaiting for dawn to attack the city. And something miraculous happened, because the story says that while the Virgin was taken out with these torches and almost in silent prayers, the these rebels confused the movement of people and the lights, no, with the arrival of their enemies, or the troops of the enemy group, the royalist troops, to defend the city. And because there were so many people, they thought that, well, it would be better not to attack, because maybe they were outnumbered by them. So they ran away. And this is considered the first miracle of protection of, nowadays, the patron of Puno, Virgin of Candelaria. Mhm. So, well, since then, she's taken in procession. And every year, there is a big festival to thank the Virgin for all the things given to the people, or to her people. But also, the festival is sort of like a constant reminder of a fight between the good and the evil. Mm. And, well, the year of preparation until the moment of the apparition again of the Virgin includes a lot of expenses of, like in costumes, or in logistics, in the food given to the participants, or in the trips done, or to go to Puno from all of the world sometimes. And also this committee, there's a special group of just women that are the ones who dress the Virgin, because every year the Virgin has new outfit completely from head to toe. Oh, that also is worth a little fortune. And how they decide which outfit she's going to wear, because every year is different. Every year, different color, different design. So, according to, well, the people who are the participants, and this is the women who change the Virgin, they are not changed every year for new ones. There is a special committee that is always the one in charge of changing the dress of Virgin. And they are women only, not men, women only, who are chosen because they are the best neighbors. They have a, what can I say, unmarked history, no, like, and in the sense of something bad that they have done. They are like clean people, no, in their let's say resume of life, no? So they are the ones chosen to dress the Virgin. Okay, and how they know which color next year of dress? Well, they said that the Virgin tells them how. Well, they have different opinions, no? For example, they dream about a color and they say, oh, and they share it also with in a, let's say, reunion, no? I dreamt with the Virgin, like dressed up with pink color, for example, and the rest agree or disagree if this is something like from the Virgin, or something like an old man, like something that is so considered according to them a message from the Virgin. So, well, it's fascinating, no? It's fascinating that they're also so tuned with well, and sensitive also with the desires of the Virgin, of their patron, of their mother, as they call the Virgin. So, and I said before that this is sort of like a representation, theatrical representation of the good and the evil. And also this reminds me probably how the process of the conquest in pre-Hispanic times was, and why it was so important. For example, the processions, or going to the churches, or seeing the images of the devil, like represented in paintings, because the indigenous were absorbing, like everywhere they went, like this liturgic, these sermons for the eyes. They were not able to read the Bible. They were not able to understand properly all the parts of the Mass in Latin, because Mass was pronounced in Latin. So instead, well, they were seeing, these images, and thanks to those images, they were really absorbing this, well, the story, the moral, no? So that's why these dances include devils. These are demons, basically, or as well, the way how traditionally is believed a demon look like, at least in this part of the world. So with the long horns and the big eyes and the fangs, some of them even recall a little bit of those pre-Hispanic gods. So sometimes you see the fangs of the puma, for example, which where the puma was a god in the pre-Hispanic time. So it's a process of transforming those gods into evil characters. Mhm. And well, the demons are fighting with angels. There are also archangels represented. So at the end, you have all this fight between the good and the evil. Oh, and we see also she devils. They are beautiful and very sexy dancing. And then we see the archangel and the devil, that are sort of like in this confrontation. And also we see interesting representations of characters which are not devils or angels. For example, the negritos, a part of the morenada, which is a dance in which what moreno means dark skinned person. So the morenos are actually the representation of the black, of the slaves who were brought to the high plateau and were put to work in mines, in the colonial times. So, and they also dance in these festivals. I'm referring in the old days. Now we have representations of those black people who participated of these dances, and they dance also like using different like forms of decorations, and they couldn't use gold and silver, the black men, because even though they were Catholic, they were not at the same level of their masters. They couldn't even afford to have the money to have beautiful like clothes for dancing for the Virgin, because they were Catholic too. So they started to use other like materials to make up, or to give the impression that they were also covered with gold and silver. In reality, those were inferior materials, no, not at that level. So, well, we have here these masks that represent those black slaves who were here in the high plateau in the colonial times. And we have here also other dances like the waka waka, for example, that represent the bulls, and the bull is going after these beautiful ladies, which have like a ton of skirts. Oh my God, they have like 20 skirts in some cases. And look at, for example, this one. Those are the maltonas, the ladies with those skirts. Each one weighs about 1 kilogram. So we're talking about more or less 20 kilograms. And by the way, each layer of skirt is added every year. These women participate. So it's like a trophy. Mm. And every year, new skirt, every year, another one. And the ones with the bigger amount of skirts, they are, of course, the ones that are the most respected also in the ballets, these dance groups. So, well, and you see also the big pride well they have in participating every year. It's like an every year thing. There are also other dances that are also the most requested or expected, at least by the public in these several days of festival. One of them is the caporales. And well, the caporales also are characterized by these mini skirts used by women. So probably that's the reason why they are so popular. So the chinas are the young ladies with these beautiful mini skirts. They dance also beautifully. So, well, there you have also other beautiful dance. And once again, I'm in love with those masks, those big masks representing also the devils. I would love to have one of them. They are super expensive. They worth thousands of soles. And I'm not discussing the price. They totally worth it. The time consumed in making them by the artisans, and each one is unique. Oh, so they are not made with molds. They are made with a combination of metal, of wood also, and other materials that make, well, this piece long lasting. Oh, and the idea is that they will be used every time there is a festival. But some people purchase them as decoration for their homes. So, well, this is really like itself. It's a world. This festival of Candelaria, which I hope you come and see in person. And of course, Puno is a place of great cuisine that is original from this location. We say autóctona, which means just from that location, or regional, you can also say. And there are different dishes. All of them also are thought of to warm you up. No, we don't have ceviche here because ceviche is to cool you down and to refresh you. So no, no, no. Here we have soups, stews. We have also deep fries, but that's what you can get. And for example, on top we have chairo, which is a very like succulent soup that has like four types of meat. So it's very delicious, very filling also. The next one is the pesque de quinoa, which is made from milk as well as quinoa and butter, and also green beans. So it's sort of like a stew. It's very delicious as well, very soothing. And it's a modest also dish because it doesn't require lots of different ingredients. So maybe you can look online and see a recipe of pesque de quinoa. It's going to be very, very tasty. And then we have also chicharrón de alpaca. Chicharrón is deep fried alpaca. Also, alpaca is consumed until these days in the high plateau. Alpaca and also llama in Bolivia. In Bolivia, they also consume a lot of llama, and was also very tasty. I remember going to Bolivia, and it was very, very delicious. And the cancacho is a sort of like a roasted. lamb. I was looking for the word in English, lamb. So very delicious. And last but not least, and these are my two absolute favorite. I ate them on. I always remember eating them on Taquile, with the best view ever. So you are seated outside the home of a Taquile neighbor, and well, they come to serve you this freshly made soup of quinoa, which is so modest and so simple, but nothing tastes like this one from the Lake Titicaca, from the island. And most of the things that you're going to find ingredients are from the backyard. Also the quinoa, also well, the lima beans, the corn. So everything is from there. No? And then, well, the other one also locally farmed trout with rice, with potato, and your Peruvian Inca Cola, which doesn't matter where you are in the country. Inca Cola, the national soda, is there. So well, thank you so much for your participation, and of course for being with me along the way. So we finished the part 6 of this series dedicated to the wonders of Peru. Actually, it's the chapter 6 and part 4. If you wish to see the rest of the parts, they are on my Patreon. There you can see also the name of my Patreon, History with Vanessa. And also, if you become a subscriber there, you have an access to all of the library from day one, Cusco part one, so until well today. I will be leaving this event to replay for the rest of the day, and then well tomorrow we have another one that is going to replace this one. So the library is on Patreon. So you can become a subscriber from $2. There's a tier of $2, $5, $10, and $20. And your support, your subscription really helps me to continue creating events. By the way, thank you so much to my Patreon subscribers, which really make possible this series and all my content. And also, you can become a supporter via PayPal if you prefer to use just one donation. Well, there you have the link or the QR code. And also, if you prefer to use the link is in the description of this video. Thank you so much also to this month supporters on PayPal. Gracias, amigos. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing here. And well, hope to see you in the upcoming events dedicated to Iquitos and the jungle. There's a lot to learn about the jungle of Peru. And I'm sure you're going to be fascinated with the indigenous communities in Iquitos, and also in some other, there will be honorific mentions of other parts of the rainforest of Peru, of the jungle of Peru. So I think we're going to be having like 4 parts probably of the next series. And then, well, later we will be exploring all the topics also. See? Gracias. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much for being here. My pleasure, Polly, querida. Gracias. And of course, you're always welcome to the replays, but hopefully also to see you again with me live. Gracias, Natalie. Thank you, dear. Thanks for being here with me as always. I know you are there. I know you are with me. So, well, see you soon until tomorrow. Also, we have another event tomorrow. And well, lots of love. Have a lovely, blessed also rest of the day. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Ciao, amigos. Adios. Hasta pronto.